Working the night shift at the old, secluded museum was a necessary evil for Sarah. The eerie silence of the dimly lit corridors made her skin crawl, yet she needed the job to support her studies. The museum housed ancient artifacts, each with its own mysterious history. On her first night alone, Sarah tried to shake off the unsettling feeling as she patrolled the halls. The only company she had was the flickering of the antique lights and the echoes of her own footsteps. She felt a chill down her spine whenever she passed the Egyptian exhibit with its sarcophagi and mummies. As the hours dragged on, strange occurrences began. Objects seemed to move on their own, faint whispers echoed through the rooms, and shadows danced along the walls. Sarah dismissed them as her imagination running wild in the dead of night. But then she heard it, an eerie melody, distant yet unmistakable. Following the haunting tune, she found herself in the ancient music section. The instruments on display stood silent, yet the melody persisted, growing louder with each step. Suddenly, a bone-chilling coldness enveloped Sarah, and the instruments began to play on their own. Strings strummed, keys were pressed, and drums beat to an otherworldly rhythm. Frozen in terror, Sarah watched as ghostly figures materialized, their spectral forms dancing to the haunting music. Desperate to escape, Sarah turned to flee, only to find herself face to face with a figure cloaked in darkness, a shadowy specter emanating a sinister aura. Its hollow eyes bore into hers, chilling her to the core. Summoning every ounce of courage, Sarah dashed through the corridors, the spectral symphony echoing behind her. She reached the security office, slamming the door shut and barricading herself inside. But the haunting melody persisted, seeping through the walls as if defying the laws of reality. Sarah huddled in a corner, praying for dawn to break and end the nightmare. When the morning sun finally filtered through the windows, Sarah emerged from the security office, her face pale and haunted. She resigned from the job immediately, unable to shake off the lingering dread that haunted her every step. To this day, Sarah refuses to talk about that night at the museum. Some say the spirits of the ancient artifacts still linger, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to grace the halls of the night shift. In the heart of the city stood an old, nondescript office building that housed countless businesses during the day. But as night fell, it transformed into a desolate labyrinth, and only the brave, or the desperate, would take the night shift. Emily, a college student in need of extra cash, accepted a job as a clerk at a 24-hour convenience store nestled within the building's ground floor. Her shifts began at midnight, and the eerie stillness of the late hours sent shivers down her spine. On her first night, the silence was deafening. The only sound was the hum of the fluorescent lights and the occasional distant rumble of a passing vehicle. Emily passed the time rearranging the shelves and trying to ignore the unsettling feeling that she was being watched. As the witching hour approached, strange occurrences began. The lights flickered erratically, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance across the aisles. The air grew colder, and Emily's breath misted in front of her. Unease turned to dread when a hooded figure entered the store, its face obscured by shadows. Emily's heart raced as the figure glided through the aisles, never breaking eye contact. The stranger's footsteps made no sound, echoing an otherworldly silence. Emily tried to maintain composure, but terror gripped her when the figure approached the counter, placing a single, ancient-looking coin on the counter. Without a word, it vanished into the night, leaving Emily trembling in its wake. Shaken, Emily tried to rationalize the encounter. Maybe it was a trick of the mind, exhaustion playing tricks on her. But when she glanced at the coin left behind, a chill ran down her spine. It bore an inscription in a language she couldn't comprehend, its surface etched with an otherworldly glow. As the night wore on, the store transformed. Shelves rearranged themselves, products floated in mid-air, and disembodied whispers filled the empty aisles. The temperature plummeted, and Emily's breath formed misty clouds as she struggled to make sense of the surreal nightmare unfolding around her. Desperate to escape, Emily rushed toward the exit, only to find the door wouldn't budge. Panic seized her as she pounded on the unyielding barrier, the haunting whispers growing louder and more malevolent. Just when she thought she was trapped forever in the spectral store, the first rays of dawn pierced through the windows. The store returned to its mundane state, the haunting occurrences fading like a nightmare in the light of day. Traumatized by her night shift ordeal, Emily resigned immediately, vowing never to set foot in that building again. The ancient coin disappeared as mysteriously as it had appeared, leaving Emily to wonder if it was a harbinger of something far more sinister. Nestled deep within the woods stood Blackwood Manor, an imposing Victorian mansion frozen in time. With its dark, looming facade and overgrown gardens, the mansion exuded an air of sinister mystery. Eliza, a caretaker in need of employment, took on the night shift to tend to the aging manor. Her duties were simple: maintain the grounds and ensure the ancient building remained secure throughout the night. On her first shift, Eliza's nerves were taut as she navigated the mansion's dimly lit hallways. The creaking floors and distant whispers seemed to conspire against her, amplifying the solitude of the night. She dismissed the eerie atmosphere as a byproduct of an old, settling house. As the clock struck midnight, unsettling occurrences began. Shadows danced on the walls, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly chill. Eliza's footsteps echoed through the corridors, each sound amplified in the silence. Passing by the grand ballroom, Eliza froze in terror as haunting music filled the air. The ancient piano played itself, the keys striking with ghostly precision. She dared not enter, but the haunting melody followed her through the mansion's winding passages. Attempting to escape the spectral symphony, Eliza fled to the attic, hoping to find solace in its dusty solitude. But as she ascended the stairs, ghostly apparitions materialized before her, their hollow eyes fixed on her with a haunting intensity. Determined to uncover the truth, Eliza delved into the manor's history, uncovering a tragic tale of unrequited love and betrayal. Legend whispered of a scorned lover who met a tragic end within the walls of Blackwood Manor, cursing the estate with eternal unrest. As the night progressed, the mansion's haunting escalated. Furniture levitated, portraits wept crimson tears, and Eliza felt an invisible presence brush against her skin. In a desperate bid to escape the spectral grip, Eliza made a harrowing discovery: a hidden chamber beneath the manor, its walls adorned with symbols of ancient rituals and unfinished incantations. In a moment of sheer terror, Eliza stumbled upon the truth: the spirit of the scorned lover, seeking vengeance and eternal release from the cursed confines of Blackwood Manor. As dawn broke on the horizon, Eliza fled the mansion, vowing never to return. Blackwood Manor remained a forsaken relic, its secrets buried within its haunted halls, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to uncover its chilling past. Amelia took a job as a night shift worker at an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. The sprawling facility had once hummed with activity, but now it stood desolate, its halls filled with the echoes of a forgotten era. The first night was eerie. The factory's machinery lay dormant, covered in layers of dust. Amelia's footsteps echoed as she patrolled the empty corridors, her only companions the distant hoots of nocturnal owls. As the hours dragged on, a sense of foreboding crept over her. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, and the air grew thick with an oppressive stillness. Amelia dismissed it as her imagination running wild in the silence of the night. But then she noticed something peculiar. The factory's security cameras captured fleeting glimpses of a figure, a silhouette lurking in the darkness. Every time she rushed to investigate, there was nothing there but the empty expanse of the factory floor. As the clock struck midnight, strange occurrences intensified. Whispers echoed through the halls, machinery groaned to life on its own, and Amelia felt an unshakable sensation of being watched. Desperate for answers, Amelia delved into the factory's history. Rumors spoke of an accident that claimed the lives of several workers, their spirits said to haunt the abandoned halls seeking retribution. One fateful night, as Amelia patrolled the assembly line, she encountered the apparitions. Ghostly figures, translucent and ethereal, drifted before her, their eyes filled with an otherworldly sorrow. They gestured wordlessly, pleading for her to leave. As she tried to escape, the factory seemed to conspire against her. Machinery malfunctioned, doors slammed shut on their own, and the apparitions pursued her with a haunting determination. Cornered in the control room, Amelia faced the apparitions, their mournful wails echoing through the empty space. She felt an overwhelming sadness emanating from them, a sorrow that pierced through her very soul. In a moment of clarity, Amelia realized the only way to appease the tormented spirits was to uncover the truth behind the factory accident. With trembling hands, she unearthed hidden files revealing the company's negligence that led to the tragedy. As dawn approached, Amelia made a solemn vow to honor the lost souls. She left the factory, resolved to expose the truth and ensure that the spirits found the peace they had been denied for so long. The abandoned factory remained a haunting reminder of its tragic past, its secrets guarded by the spirits who now watched over it from the shadows. Amidst the city's bustle stood an ancient library, its towering shelves holding secrets of centuries past. Emma, an aspiring librarian, landed a night shift job, tasked with cataloging rare tomes in the dimly lit labyrinth of books. On her first night, the library's vastness overwhelmed Emma. The musty scent of ancient parchment and the hushed whispers of pages turning greeted her as she ventured deeper into the labyrinthine corridors. As the clock ticked past midnight, the atmosphere grew ominous. Soft whispers echoed around her, murmurs barely audible, teasing at the edges of her consciousness. Emma brushed it off as her imagination playing tricks in the solitude of the late hour. But the whispers persisted, growing more insistent and haunting. They seemed to come from the very books she handled, their voices pleading, cajoling, and at times, hissing warnings that sent shivers down her spine. Desperate to escape the disquieting cacophony, Emma sought solace in the reading room. Yet, there, the whispers intensified, converging into an otherworldly chorus that resonated through the chamber. In a panic, she fled deeper into the library's depths, hoping to find respite. But the whispers followed, growing louder and more menacing with each step, as if the books themselves were trying to communicate a cryptic message. In her frantic search for an escape, Emma stumbled upon a hidden chamber, its door adorned with cryptic symbols. Ignoring the warnings etched into the ancient wood, she pushed the door ajar, releasing an unsettling energy that permeated the air. Within the chamber, she discovered an ancient grimoire, its pages filled with forbidden incantations. Before she could comprehend the gravity of her discovery, the room filled with a spectral glow, and ghostly apparitions materialized around her. They were the spirits of forgotten authors, trapped within the confines of the library, seeking release from their eternal confinement. Their voices melded into a chilling chorus, beseeching Emma to break the curse that bound them. Realizing the dire consequences of her actions, Emma raced to reverse the incantation, struggling to undo the ancient magic. With trembling hands, she recited the incantation in reverse, pleading for forgiveness from the ethereal specters. As dawn broke on the horizon, the library fell silent once more. Emma, shaken to her core, vowed never to meddle with forces beyond her understanding. She left the library, haunted by the eerie whispers that lingered in her mind, a reminder of the perilous night shift she'd never forget. The ancient library stood as a silent sentinel, its secrets guarded by the spirits of authors past, awaiting the next unsuspecting soul to heed their spectral call.